Hello everybody and welcome to Toitu to You, Curator's Corner, episode number 32. My name's Sean Brosnan, I'm a curator at Toitu Otago Settlers Museum here in Dunedin. I've been making these little stories about pioneer Dunedin and people in the early days. For today's story we're going to leave the Johns behind and focus on the Janets. In this case, one particular Janet who was also a poet. But her take on pioneer Dunedin was quite unlike the social paradise extolled by John Barr in There's Nae Place Like Otago Yet. And her contrasting version is another reminder of just how gendered that pioneer experience was, with very different roles for men and for women, distinct and different. The Janet concerned is Mrs. Janet Kerr, née Martin, wife of William, who accompanied him to Otago with their two young children on the Mariner in 1849. Now, this may or may not be a portrait of the couple. It's simply labelled Mr. and Mrs. William Kerr in our index. But this drawing is certainly of William and their son William Jr. or William Lang Kerr, who was just 2 years old when they arrived in Dunedin. The family was from Edinburgh, where William and Janet had married in 1845. William is listed as a storekeeper and then a warehouseman in various references in Scottish records, while Janet was the daughter of a saddler, so they were real city people. And they lived right in the heart of Edinburgh's old town, just off the Royal Mile at Niddry Street and across High Street in Bailey Fife's Close, where their children, William and Margaret, were born in 1846 and 1847 respectively. But on the Mariner passenger list, William's occupation is given as an agricultural labourer. It also notes that he was going to be paying for his passage and theirs once they reached the colony. Now those details give us some hints of what a gamble it must have been for these city slickers from Scotland's ancient capital to commit their futures to the brand new colony of Dunedin, the new Edinburgh at the bottom of the world. For William, that meant reinventing himself as an agriculturalist, while for Janet, it meant swapping the solid stone tenements of Edinburgh, the close-knit neighbourhoods and ready access to shops, schools and churches, for a rough, wattle and daub cottage amidst the muddy bush-clad hills of Dunedin. It can only have been an almighty culture shock once they got off the Mariner and confronted the reality of just what that meant. And like John Barr, Janet Kerr expressed her feelings in a poem, also written in the Lowland Scots dialect. Here it is, kindly read for us by Val McAvaney, who's not from Edinburgh, so the accent will be slightly different, but the words are from a version of English that she's very familiar with, which most of us aren't. So here it goes.
The hooses they are made of clay, the rats they have nae mair a day, then howk a hole and in they gae to the hooses o' Dunedin. The fireside maks my heart maist sair, the mud it is inch deep and mair, and bairnie's shoon sticks to the flare in the hooses o' Dunedin. If any country need be famed for cold and wet and bleak east winds, McGlashan then his pipes may tune for the praises o' Dunedin. Wives that at hame gaed neat and clean are no ashamed for to be seen. Mud to the knees and far abin are the housewives o' Dunedin. Since by deceit we've here been sent, we maun just try and be content. Life's wee while will soon be spent, and then we'll leave Dunedin.
And here are those words again with some translations of the more obscure Scottish words and phrases. Nae mair a day, no more to do. Hoke a hole and in they gae. Dig a hole and in they go. Tae the hooses, to the houses. Makes my heart maist sair. Makes my heart most sore. Mair, more. Bairnie's shoein sticks to the flare. The kiddie's shoe sticks to the floor. Wives that at hame gaed neat and clean. Wives that at home went neat and clean. Are new ashamed for to be seen. Are now ashamed to be seen. Mud to the knees and far abin. Mud to the knees and far above. Mourn just, must just. So it's a pretty devastating critique of Dunedin and the sort of conditions that young mothers like Janet must have faced. There's a stab at the weather, and there's also a barb at John McGlashan, who at this point was still back in Edinburgh and still promoting the paradise that was Dunedin to any prospective settlers, which is evidently not the way that Janet had experienced it. But there's something of a happy ending to this tale. After time in Dunedin and then at Green Island, in fact farming the land on which the steps that go down to Tunnel Beach were cut through later, the Kerrs took up a 450-acre block of land at Oteramika in Southland and successfully developed a farm there. And eventually they retired to Dunedin and passed that farm on to their son, William Lang Kerr. But that's not their happy ending. Rather, it's this verse penned by Janet in later life. For in home, dearest home, I have no wish to be, for I'm quite content in this colony, where the maple and the pine and the bonny fern tree, they're all growing green in this country. Perhaps not so good as a poem, but clearly expressing that she'd come to terms with being here, and in the end, being happy with that. So I hope you enjoyed that little story. If you did, you might like to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and until the next time, thank you for watching.